There are places that never appear in travel guides. They are not marked on maps and will never become tourist attractions. These are places avoided even by animals. Forests filled with dead silence, fields where no grass grows, and waters that reflect the sky but never reflect life. One such place is the lake. It has no name. No one dares to give it one, because every name makes a thing closer. And the lake is something best kept as far away as possible. Those who went there rarely returned. And if they did, they were never the same. The elders of villages located miles away from the lake always said, "You must not go there." Not because it was deep or dangerous in the usual sense. No. The danger lay elsewhere. The danger was that once you reached the water, you no longer belonged to yourself. Long ago, a shepherd noticed something strange. His brother, a strong, healthy man with a clear mind, suddenly vanished. All they found was his clothes on the shore. No signs of struggle, no blood, only footprints leading directly into the water. And so the legend began. The lake calls to people. They said if you listen carefully, you can hear a voice. A whisper so faint, it sounds like your name, promising peace, offering an end to every problem. Over the years, people disappeared, elders, young women, children. And every time it was the same, footprints in the sand at the water's edge, and then, nothing. People tried to explain it away, drown perhaps. But there were never screams. No signs of struggle for life. They went quietly, as if agreeing to something unseen. The old women whispered that the water didn't take people by force, but by promise. It offered peace, where none could be found in the world. The path to the lake wound through a dark forest. Even during the day, it felt like night there. The trees grew so close together their crowns swallowed the sunlight. No birds sang. No wind stirred the branches. And then, emerging from this darkness, you found yourself at the shore. A mirror-like stillness stretched across the water, the air heavy with dampness. Some claimed the lake's surface never moved, not even during storms. Others swore faces appeared in the water. And not just any faces, familiar ones. The ones who had already gone into the depths. There was a case of a boy who disappeared from the village. They found him 3 days later, sitting by the water. He stared at the surface and said nothing. When they brought him home, he still didn't speak. Weeks passed. Then one night he left again. This time, they never found him. Another story, a woman who had lost her husband. She claimed she heard his voice by the water. He was calling her name. She disappeared too. In the morning, all they found were her footprints in the sand. No cry. Just silence. The villagers told a legend. The lake was a gate. A gate guarded by an ancient spirit that fed on human lives. It didn't break bones, it didn't rip flesh, it simply took away will. First, a person heard the call. Then they saw something in the water, someone they loved, something they longed for. And then they took that final step. And that was all. No body. No scream. Not even a splash. Only the smooth surface of the water. In the 1970s, a group of students decided to test the legend. They took a boat, instruments, cameras, and rowed out onto the lake. Only the boat returned. Empty. On its sides were claw marks, as if someone had tried to climb out, but something had dragged them down. The film they carried was ruined. What remained showed only distorted images of water, and long, unnatural shadows rising from the depths. No one ever tried the experiment again. Despite all warnings, the lake still calls. Every year, More people go there and never come back. Some travel deliberately, drawn by whispers of its legend. Others stumble upon it by chance, and vanish all the same. Witnesses say that before disappearing, people change. Their eyes glaze over, their movements slow, their breathing becomes shallow. They seem to drift away from reality. And then they take a step toward the water, and it ends. The lake is most terrifying at night. Mist rises from the surface, rolling across the shore like something alive. Through it, strange silhouettes appear, tall, stretched, inhuman. Some swore they were the souls of those trapped in the depths. Others claimed they were reflections of what awaited everyone eventually. But all agreed on one thing: at night the lake lives. And if you ever hear your name in the darkness, run. Run, and don't look back. Today, the lake still lies hidden in the forest. No signs point the way. No trails lead there. But it remembers everyone who ever stepped into its waters. Sometimes, at night, villagers hear an echo. A voice, faint but clear, calling from beyond the trees. And everyone knows, if you ever answer, if you follow the call, there will be no return. Because the lake is waiting, and it never lets go. It was never on the maps, though everyone in the region knew the path. The trail began at an old bus stop, dipped into an overgrown ravine, and vanished among pines where the ground felt soft underfoot, as if it were breathing. Then came the mist, heavy, wet, smelling of peat and iron. There lay the lake of the ashen moon, water that hardly reflected the sky. At night it looked matte, gray like ashes. Under the pale moon it was thick black, like a void. People rarely whispered of its nature. They said those who came there heard a call, soft, insistent, deeply personal. And if they took that final step toward the water, their road ended. They stopped forever. No scream. No struggle. No splash. Only smooth water and emptiness at the shore. The elders told of a village called Laniki that once stood where the lake is now. And it was a wooden church with a heavy bell. One spring, the river broke its dam. The flood came at night. People barely escaped into the woods and listened as their homes drowned. The last to sink was the bell. Its slow tone vanished beneath the roar. Since then, on misty nights, the bell was said to ring from below, not in sound, but in the chest, a pressure that the heart hears though the ears do not. Those who felt it began to see visions on the water, a childhood home, a forgotten road, the face of someone lost. And they walked, always walked, and ended their path at the edge of the water. They said the forest watchman, Ilya, loved silence. His house stood nearest to the lake. In his logbook were short notes. Fog heavy. Owls silent. Smells of iron. On the evening of October 12th, he left his lantern burning on the porch and went to check traps by the beaver trail. The lantern burned out by morning. Ilya never came back. All they found were his boots neatly placed at the water's edge and a faint handprint on a wet stone. As if he had crouched, touched the surface, and decided not to rise again. No ripples on the water. No signs of haste. As though someone had called his name, and he willingly obeyed. The trail to the lake was strange. Footsteps sank into moss, and even loud voices sounded muffled, like under a blanket. No echo. No bird startled. The closer to the water, the stranger the air, cold in the throat, salty on the lips, like the sea was near. Pines stood tight, their trunks smooth and oddly dry, while all else was damp. Sometimes the branches stirred, not wind, but breathing. Those who reached the shore said the same. I heard my name. Some heard a child's. Come home. others are dry. It's time. Still others the voice of the dead. After that, shoulders straightened, eyes grew calm, and the final step was taken. In spring, the post office found an envelope with no stamp, no address. Inside, a page from a school notebook, neat handwriting. I am walking to the place where I will no longer feel shame for what I did or did not do. There, no one asks why. There, they know from the first breath. I stood by the water, it swallowed the moon like a stone. They told me, just touch. And I touched. It didn't hurt. It was quiet. Warm at the heart. When I closed my eyes, I heard the bell strike the bottom. It does not ring, it breathes. It needs my silence. No signature. Ink smudged by damp fingers. The writing steady, like it was not a farewell but an invitation. The old dam was dismantled years ago, but the keeper's notebooks remained in the village archive. He recorded weather in short, hammer-like notes. Water higher by a hand. Fog at the bell. The bottom breathes. One entry stood out. At night, when the fog was heavy, circles rose on the lake. Not from wind. As if something massive rose but did not surface. For a moment the water bulged like glass. I saw faces, many, one after another, not looking at each other. Not one blinked. I stood on the pier and knew, if I exhaled too loud, they would notice. And then it would not be me staring at the water. The water would stare into me. The last page was torn out. A damp handprint stained the cover. They whispered about him. A man from a nearby farm vanished for a week, then came back, soaked through, unhurt. He barely spoke, only muttered, "It's warm there." At night he unrolled a wet handkerchief and studied it as though it held a map. When asked what he saw, he said simply, "A home that no longer exists." I walked inside and lay on a bed. The bed was warm, like under the sun. I knew I could stay. But I remembered I had told no one. It wasn't fair to go like that. I told the water, "Wait." It agreed. "I will return. When I am tired of looking back." 3 weeks later he didn't return from hang. On the shore they found his handkerchief. On it, a round stain, like a kiss mark, but too large. That summer, 3 arrived, camera, drone, bright jackets. "We'll debunk the myth," they said on film. They laughed all the way to the shore. Then the footage warped. The horizon on the water shivered, like in seizure. The mic picked up a deep hum, not wind, not a motor, but something vast turning at the bottom. The last frame showed one man at the water's edge, arm outstretched, another backing away, the third holding the drone remote. Then the one at the edge bent his knees, his shoulders slackened, and he slid forward, not falling, but stepping into a shadow on the surface. The others didn't even curse. The drone was found the next day on a stump. The remote in the grass. The camera empty, memory card blank, though its file size was full. As if images existed, but someone inside the card held the door shut. After that, locals repeated rules, though no one recalled who made them. Do not bring mirrors. The water is jealous of reflections. Do not speak the names of the dead. The water will call with their voices. Do not look at the moon when it turns ashen. It means the bottom is near the surface. If the shore smells of iron, leave. It means the bell is awake. The rules never saved anyone. People still reached the reeds, held their breath as if listening to their own hearts, and took the final step. On the sand they left small things, a button, a key, a ticket. Objects with no use in the place they were going. One night the fog came early. By 9, you couldn't see your own hand. First, houses grew quiet. Then no one lit lamps. Darkness felt safer. Yet the walls trembled, not from wind but from something heavy walking on the bottom. Those with photos of lost loved ones felt a gentle hand on the shoulder, neither cold nor warm, but familiar. It's time. No one spoke the word, they simply understood. So they rose, opened the door, and the cold air beckoned. That night many footprints marked the shore, most in pairs, as if people walked holding hands with those long gone. No cries. In the frozen puddles lay palm prints, neat, like children's crafts, only stretched, as if belonging to those who had not breathed for years. Near dawn, the fog thinned. For the first time in decades, a sound came. Low, weary, as if rust clung to metal. It rolled across the water, into houses, empty pockets, old cupboards, photographs tucked in books. With it, people felt their chests heavier, yet life seemed easier. There, no one asks why I'm tired. There, no one measures how well I lived. Someone whispered on a porch. Then the sound broke. For a moment, silence so deep the windows rattled, then morning resumed. Kettles whistled, roosters crowed, shadows stretched. On the pier they found a rope. At its end, an iron ring, green with patina. Some said, from the bell. Others scoffed. But all who touched it later complained the water roared in their ears at night and smelled of iron. Now the lake of the ashen moon lies quiet. The trail is overgrown. The watchman's house empty, its gate hanging by a hinge. But the place is no safer. It has only learned patience. It is more patient than people. Sometimes a wanderer, lost in the pines, steps onto the shore and freezes. Breathless, unmoving, listening. If the moon is ashen and the air tastes of iron, a figure flickers on the surface. Familiar. Dear. One not spoken of for years, too painful to recall. And then, inside, all the doors of an old house swing open at once, warm wind rushing from every room. The promise is simple. Rest. Silence. No more looking back. Only touch the water. Just with your fingertips. Those who did stopped forever. They were never found. Yet sometimes, by dawn, faint footprints appeared in the sand, not leading away, but toward the water, as if someone returned from far away to look one last time at those still left behind. The lake of the ashen moon does not rage or punish. It simply calls. Quiet, steady, patient. And if one day you hear a low, dragging bell in your chest, remember, it is not the wind, not memory. It is the water where the bell drowned. It knows your name. And it will wait exactly as long as you need, until you are tired. And when you are tired, the path to the lake will find your steps.